Welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and it is show number 172. Happy to be on with you. Happy to be live here on Facebook, on iTunes when we get rolled onto there, and wherever it is you are watching and or listening, YouTube. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network and Voice Ed Radio Canada. And we are getting rolling with show number 172. We have John Abrams joining us today. He is navigating through some tech challenges now, and if we can get him, we'll get him. If not, the magic of performance, we'll get him back on another time. But while we're waiting to connect with John, I did want to go over a couple of announcements, a couple of news briefs. And again, excited to get rolling with show number 172. Number one, I want to thank today's sponsor of the program, And Collar. What a great relationship I have with this group. I'm wearing And Collar gear right now. It's amazing stuff. It's flexible. It's water resistant. It's stain resistant. And we know as school leaders, as magicians, John, that it's an amazing clothing. I love it. So I'm wearing it right now. This is it. 15 Murata is the discount code. That's right. 15 Murata is the discount code. And that's for And Collar. And check them out. They're an awesome clothing company. Happy to be sponsored by them. Number two, the Audible version of The Partnership is out. My second book. It is out on Audible, The Partnership, Surviving and Thriving. And it is tips, tricks, hacks, successful strategies for parents to help navigate their kids through school. And that is The Partnership. It's on Audible. So excited that I had a chance to read that, go to the studio and do that. I would love for you to check that out. Number three. Number of people have asked about where can I get some AM gear, Andrew Murata Surviving and Thriving gear. New to the website is I got t-shirts and I got trucker hats with the AM logo. They are on the Andrew Murata website. Check those out. You're looking for some swag, do that, and you can order it right through the website, andrewmurata.com. We got the trucker hats and we got some t-shirts. And we'll be adding to that. I hope you'll grab some of those. And if you are looking for a speaker, you're looking for a professional development, you're looking for someone to motivate your staff, connect with your administrators. It's been going well. It is something that I have been able to add, and I'm excited about that. And I'm seeing some good news at the bottom of my screen. Yeah, John, we got you muted right now, but I see you. So lucky we made it work here. And we're going to meet John Abrams here in a moment. It looks like he's got the magic ready, and we will meet him in a moment. So, again, if you are looking for a speaker, reach out to me. Let's see if we're the right fit and if that works for you and your organization. So, again, And Collar, the discount code is 15 Murata. John, this is some nice gear. I don't know if you get wet or dirty during your performances. But 15 Murata is the discount code there. You want some Andrew Murata swag, check it out on andrewmurata.com. The Audible version of The Partnership is out, and I'd love to be your next speaker, so let's check that out. We are going to meet John Abrams here in a moment, and he is going to do some magic, but I want to just run my little trick. You know, one of my things here, I don't want to insult John, but John, I'm no magician like you, but I got a little coloring book here, and as you can see, there's no color. There's no color in my book, right? So I want to do some magic here. I want to show the magician that I could get some color, and it's hard to do this with the camera, John. But I got a little here, but it looks black and white. This looks black and white. I need a little more magic, John. I need a little more magic, and boom, we got color. We got color in the book. I'll take it out for the next group, get that color out of here. So there's no more color. That's my little magic trick. I love to show it to the little kids. But let's knock it off with the rookie magician here. Let's bring in today's guest here. Let's welcome John Abrams to Education, Leadership, Beyond. I'm glad he was able to work out the tech. And here we are, John. Good to see you.
Phew, good to be seen. Finally got that camera going and we are rocking and rolling.
You're looking great. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Andrew. I appreciate it. I like your opening with your coloring book. That's great. I have some friends right now that are doing lectures on how to use that coloring book to the optimum to the optimum impact for kids.
Well, I use it for a lot of efforts. Folks, if you're watching live, please join us. This is John Abrams from California, and we're going to get to meet John here. But I believe in the power of performance. I believe in connecting with your audience. And John, let's start there. How did you get going with magic? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, once again, my name is John Abrams, of course. Before COVID, I was doing anywhere between 300 and 500 shows a year for elementary schools on bully prevention and character. And I was thinking about how I got started. And it's kind of a funny story. In high school, maybe I'm 15 or 16 years old, and I'm in a drama class. And one of the assignments was to do a scene from a particular period. And the period that I got was Commedia dell'arte. And if you're not familiar with Commedia dell'arte, what they did back then in the 16th and 18th century is they wore Harlequin masks and did performances in front of audiences with Harlequin masks. Now, I'm 15 or 16-year-old at the time. And this is, let's see, I guess probably 1979, 1980. And there was a show called The Gong Show on, which was remade recently. And on The Gong Show, there was this guy called the Unknown Comic. Now, I didn't have masks, but this guy, the Unknown Comic, he wore a bag over his head and he cut holes in for eyes. And he used to do all these crazy stunts as the Unknown Comic. And nobody knew who he was for a really long time. So I had this assignment to do something from Commedia dell'arte. I didn't have a Harlequin mask. I didn't have any type of mask. So a friend of mine and myself put on bags over our heads and cut holes out of the eyes and holes where the mouth is. And we did an entire scene in the Commedia dell'arte style with bags on our heads. And I realized at that point in time, see, everything before this was what's called representational theater, which means we're doing theater from a script. Whereas this particular scene was presentational theater, where I was actually talking to the audience. We were talking to the audience. We were improvising. We were doing all sorts of crazy things with these bags over our heads. So I fell in love with presentational theater. So fast forward about, I don't know, probably 20 years. I had already beat the streets of Hollywood trying to become an actor and such, and had some success, did some commercials and some different things. Then my wife at the time invited a magician over to the house. And I had never seen a magic show. I'd never seen a live magic trick. And he did what's called a card on the ceiling. And here's how that works. He takes out a deck of cards. He says, please pick a card. So I pick a card. He says, please write your name on the card. And I write my name on the card. And he says, watch this. So he puts a rubber band around it, the deck of cards. My card is somewhere in there. And he throws it up. And it hits the ceiling. And then all the cards come falling down, all except for one card. And that's the card that I picked. It was on the ceiling. I had signed my name on it and everything. And I was so blown away by this. I looked up and I was like, oh my God, that it's my card. So I was so blown away. It turns out that this particular corporate magician, his assistant had left him. Or they had a parting of ways. I don't know what happened. And he found out that I had a lot of acting experience and experience backstage. And so he asked me to become his assistant. So I showed him my legs. No, I didn't really show him my legs. So I became his assistant. So I was the guy that was on stage pulling the strings and pushing the buttons when he was going, ta-da! So from then on, we flew all around the United States doing magic shows for everybody around the U.S., including Florida and Arizona and all over the place. So so after working for him for 5 years or so, I decided, well, I might be able to do this myself. Magic is basically acting with stuff, practicing with stuff, performing with stuff, and acting and with stuff. Yeah. So 1990, 99, I put my first ad in the Yellow Pages. And I
Kids are
started
saying,
doing
what? What's he talking
yeah,
about?
yeah. Kids are going, what? What's a Yellow Page? Yellow Pages were this book that everybody used to get that listed all the people and all the businesses around. And so I was in the Yellow Pages under magicians, and I got my first call, and the rest is history.
Wow. And John, where did it turn to? How did you go doing magic shows to like doing this for kids to help with social skills and emotional skills and bullying prevention?
Yeah. What happened is when I first started doing magic, I made myself a promise that I wouldn't compete with the magician that I had worked for.
Yes.
So he was doing mainly corporate events. And so I thought, well, I'll start doing children's events. So I started doing a lot of children's events. I created a show called Animal Magic, which is magic with all live exotic pets, and did that for a very, very long time. And what would happen is occasionally I did a lot of birthday parties. I don't know, like 6, 7, 8 birthday parties a weekend. But then I realized that I was gone every weekend and I had 2 kids. So I had to pivot.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, what better way to pivot to weekdays than to do school shows? So I started doing school shows Monday through Friday. And even though when I first started doing it, I was doing the Animal Magic show, I would occasionally get hired for a school, and I would go to the school principal and say, well, what is the problem? What is something that I can help you with? What can I bring into your school that some people aren't teaching that could help your school? And at the time, this is maybe 10 or 12 years ago, the main topic was bullying.
Wow.
That was the big problem. So they said, well, what you can do is bring something in about bullying. So I thought, great, home run. So I got all sorts of books on bullying. At the time, videotapes on bullying. I thought about my own kids. I have 2 different daughters. One is a super brain and one is super athletic and super popular. So I kind of have, they tip the scales on each side so I could look at both of them. And I created a show called The Bully Game that was a huge hit in elementary schools all over Southern California, and started starting 200 or 300 shows the first year of bully prevention shows. So that's kind of how I got into the bully prevention business.
Yeah.
And then later added a character show to it. As I learned more about bullying, I added a parenting prevention component to it, and did a parenting meeting on bullying. So that's the roundabout story how I got started with the bullying thing. Yeah.
What a great combination, though. You're doing something fun that people like. You have their attention, but then you're turning it into a positive message there, and doing some research, John, and checking it out. You talk about the 8 traits of a true magician. Yep. Can you share those? And then the name of the show is called Education, Leadership, Beyond. Do any of those traits carry into leadership, carry into education? Any of those things that can benefit some of our listeners?
Absolutely. All of them benefit leadership. I imagine you'll have to figure out how to put that in, but certainly teaching. Yeah. We teach the 8 traits of a true magician, and I'm gonna read these because although I haven't memorized, I'm probably gonna panic and leave one out. They are respect, prepared, enthusiasm, confident, authentic, humble, creative, and giving. So every time I teach a lesson, when COVID hit, I went from doing 300 and 400 shows a year to 0.
Wow.
So when that hit, I pivoted to teaching magic, and I found a group called Discover Magic that teaches these 8 traits of a true magician, and they use one of these traits for every particular lesson. For example, the first lesson is respect, and the trick that we teach is called the Incrediball. And the Incrediball, here's how it works. Basically, we put a bead in someone's hand, and this bead has strings running through the bead. So the person closes their hand, they turn it over, we tie up their hand with the strings, then we pull the strings, and it melts through their hand, and then the bead is left in their hand. That is the first lesson that I teach. Now, when we teach that, the first time a kid does that, they'll go to somebody and say, oh, put out your hand. Here's a bead. Put it in your hand. Close your hand. Turn it over. Tie it up. Okay, pull it. And that's all well and good. The trick is fine. But then we start talking about respect. By the end of the lesson, they say, I need a volunteer. Oh, hi. What is your name? Bob? Okay, hi, Bob. Bob, please put out your hand. Bob, I'm going to put a bead in your hand. Is that okay? Great. Thank you. Please cover the bead. Hold on to the bead. Thank you. Please turn your hand over.
Wow.
Thank you. And then they tie it up. Is that comfortable? Is it too tight? No. Well, let me pull on it. Then they pull on it, and then they do the trick. So now they've treated the person with respect, and they understand how using respect takes them further in the trick and in life.
Wow. What a great thing. I got 6 here, John. Respect, preparation, creative, giving, humble, and
authentic.
I can't read what authentic. Okay.
Confident,
yeah.
Is that it? Is that 8?
And one more. We're missing one more. I got this.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. Nice. Okay,
yeah, as you can see, I'm not very enthusiastic about what I do.
Well, let's see some, John. Here, you mentioned about maybe doing some on the show. I love it. I think, I believe educators are performers. Yep. I believe the great teachers use props. They use cool things that grab people's attention. I think it's a great skill. And the fact that you're teaching it now, right? Isn't that what they say about our gifts, right? Share your gifts, but now you're teaching others to do it. I think is just tremendous. I think it's great.
I love doing it. And the neat thing about teaching is I'm passing on all this experience from the last 20 years or 25 years of performing magic. And not only are we creating new magicians, but we're also creating good people and good kids, which is way more important. There are enough magicians out there, believe me, but there aren't enough people that treat people with respect, that are always prepared, that are enthusiastic and that type of thing. All right. You want to see some magic?
Let's do it. Let's do some magic here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond.
Here's what's going to happen. I am going to predict the future. I have here, you can see this. Yeah. Oh yeah. I have here a magic number, but I'm not going to show you what this magic number is. I'm going to show it to you in the future. Now, just so you know, so you can see this. Can you see this here?
I can. Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Perfect. I have here a graph. And by the way, I know there are a lot of people that are just listening to this. So describe this graph. This graph has the numbers 1 through 16. And what it is, it's a graph. Numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 are on the top row. Then there's a next row that has 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way down to 16. Now, here's what's going to happen. I'm not going to do the magic. Actually, Andrew, you're going to do the magic.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what's going to happen. I want you to go ahead and name any number on this chart. Go ahead and name any number on this chart.
8.
8. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to circle the number 8, and we're going to remove all the numbers above, all the numbers below, and all the numbers side to side. And people listening to this, what I've done is I've crossed out the number above it, which happens to be 4, and the numbers below it, and the numbers side to side. Now, Andrew, go ahead and randomly pick another number that's left.
14.
14. All right, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to circle the number 14. We're going to eliminate everything above, everything below. And Andrew, what are we going to eliminate?
To the right and to the left.
Exactly. Everything side to side. So that's what I've done. I've crossed these out. Now, there's a bunch of numbers left. Go ahead and name any one of those numbers that are left over.
Let's go with number 1.
Number 1. Perfect. So we circle the number 1. We eliminate everything above, everything below, and everything side to side. Now, I think there's one number left. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, the number left is 11. We're going to circle the number 11. Let's go ahead and add these up. Okay, Andrew, what's 14 plus 11?
25.
Okay, what's 25 plus 8?
33.
33. 33 plus 1?
34.
34. Now, it's very interesting. What is that number again?
34.
34. Now, all this time, we've been looking at this envelope marked magic number. It hasn't left the screen. You've been able to see it the whole time, right?
I've been watching it. Yes.
Now, I imagine you're suspecting what's going to happen. This is a magic number. Oh wait, before I reveal this, let's review what we've done. I showed you a chart. You picked four what seemed like completely random numbers. We added them up, and what was the total?
34.
34. Excellent.
Come on.
What just happened?
You did some magic. That's what I think.
Okay. For those listening to that, I took out an envelope and I pulled a piece of paper out saying the number 34. All right, now here's what's happened. Here's what's really happened. I'm going to teach you this magic trick.
Nice.
That way you can teach your students and you can teach other people this magic trick too. Because it does a lot of things. First, it engages people. Were you engaged during that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you were looking back and forth. You were adding numbers in your head. So we did the engagement thing. Secondly, it's a math lesson. The truth of the matter is math shows us hidden patterns in life that teach us about the future. I'll give you an example. Here's what I want you to do. I want everybody listening to this, including you, Andrew, to think of the number 4. That's all I want you to do. Think of the number 4. Put the number 4 in your head. All right? Now, Andrew, you are going to tell the future. Watch this. What's 2 plus 2?
4.
You just saw the future. Okay, that's a simplistic device of what I just showed you. But here's what's going to happen. We're going to do this again because we're going to create a pattern where the outcome is always 34, no matter what. All right? So no matter what number you say, the pattern is going to equal 34. And by the way, before I show you how to do this and before I show you this, it doesn't have to be on a, it doesn't have to be with a dry erase pen and a dry erase board. I've done it many times on just a regular old piece of paper where you draw the graph and you use that. So, all right. So we're going to do this again. And the reason we're going to do this again is to show you how these patterns in math, and by the way, we're lifting up math. We're teaching the kids that math is a good thing, that math helps you tell the future. All right. So, Andrew, let's do this again. Go ahead and name any number, a different number. 9. So we circle the number 9. We're going to create this pattern by removing everything to the right, to the left, above, and below. Give me another number.
15.
15. 15 is left. Circle the number 15. Remove everything above, everything below, and everything side to side. Give me another number.
6.
6. Circle the number 6. Remove everything above, below, side to side. And is there one number left? I believe there is. Oh, right there, up there.
4.
Number 4, right. All right, so we have all these numbers. Let's add them up. 15 plus 9 is?
24.
24 plus 6 is?
30.
30 plus 4 is?
34, the magic number. Wow.
So you learned a little bit of math. You had to add them up in your head. And I saw your wheels turning. As you were adding these up, you were getting ahead of yourself. You were getting ahead of me and adding those numbers even before you were talking about it, right? So we were learning math. We were learning about hidden patterns. We were being engaged. So all of those things were happening just by learning a magic trick.
Yeah. And you were doing the categories of the great magician. Exactly. You were enthusiastic. You were prepared. You were giving me how to do it. It was creative. You showed confidence. You're doing it. That was awesome.
Exactly.
And so, and I believe so. Tell me about your performance. I believe when you open with something like that, when you start with something that grasps your audience attention, you have them. Now you have a captive audience.
Yeah. Well, I have a theory about capturing an audience. Here's my theory. First of all, I think you have to know what your audience is. For example, you are an adult male. I don't know how old you are, but you're an adult male in the education world.
I thought you were a magician. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But most of the people that I perform for are kids between kindergarten and 6th grade. So I just created a show called Fun and Games and Magic, where it's exactly what it is. It's fun and games and magic. And I was thinking to myself as I was creating this, what do these kids have in common? So I came up with a lot of ideas, but the bottom line was all of them love superheroes. They can all relate to superheroes. So the opening, to get them emotionally involved and interact with me, I show them a book of a bunch of different superheroes, Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, etc., and tell them that we are going to find out a little more about them. So we're going to find out what their favorite character is, their favorite superhero is. So we go through a number of things. We find out what their favorite superhero is. For example, if it's the Hulk, some kid raises their hand, oh, it's the Hulk, it's the Hulk, it's the Hulk. Then I put on my mask. I'm not even going to show you this trick right now. I put on my mask, and then it immediately turns into the Hulk. So now they're engaged on their level. They know that they're going to be lifted up. We're going to find out that it's important to me what their favorite superhero is, so that they are all important to me. So now they're emotionally invested in the show. That's the opener.
I love it. And I'm going to go off script here a little bit. John,
Sure.
You make it sound so easy. Like, yeah, I just created this show. I got ADD. I call it a superpower, not a disability. And my brain is always going. I like new ideas. I want to do different things. Do you have that? Like, how do you just create a new show? Like, how do you do that?
It's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, I know it's not. I know it's not.
Yeah. The show that I created, I started creating in May, and I just did the first one maybe 2 months ago.
Okay.
So although I say, yeah, I just created the show, it really took me 9 or 10 months to create it. And things are way different when you do them in your living room than when you do it in front of an audience.
Person, sure.
You find out immediately what works and what doesn't, especially with kids, just like you teachers, I'm sure. Teachers, when you're teaching a lesson, you know what the kids catch on to, and you know what they don't by the looks on their faces.
Sure.
And it's the same with entertainers. Exactly the same.
Wow. What do you do, John, when something screws up, when you make a mistake? How do you recoup from there?
Well, there's an old magician's trick called having an out, which means that if this, whatever trick this is, if this trick doesn't work, well, I have a plan B. And the audience doesn't know that this trick didn't work. All the audience sees is that this plan B worked. Yay!
Wow, that was a great answer. Guys, if you're watching live, you just joined us. This is John Abrams, magician, school performer here. Works with schools. I'm thoroughly engaged here, but if you want to jump in the show, you want to ask a question, please get involved. John, obviously you're good at what you do. Obviously you have a passion. I could just tell by being around you a little bit, you got a positive energy for kids and people. And you recently won an award, the Golden Wand Award for Excellence through Discovering Magic. What did that mean for you? What did that mean for your career? I know we don't get a lot of pats on the back, right? But what did that mean to you?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because when this pandemic hit, not only did all my shows cancel, and I had kind of laid in bed for 2 months and cried like a baby, but I started thinking, how is this affecting everybody else too?
Yeah,
it's not just me; it's all my other entertainer friends. But how is this affecting kids at schools? Because kids aren't going to school, so they're having a tougher time learning reading, writing, arithmetic. But more importantly, I think they're also having a tough time understanding the social skills and the small cues that they get from dealing with their friends and their teachers and all of that. So I said, well, how can I change this? So that's when I started teaching all of these traits online with magic. So by the end of this whole thing, they can come out the back end of COVID with better social skills and better confidence and feeling better about themselves, as opposed to being behind a year.
Wow.
So when I got that award, long story long, I guess. When I got that award, it was kind of a little pat on the back saying, yeah, all the work that you put into it over the past 9, 10, 11 months was really worth it.
Yeah.
It really helped a lot of kids. During the pandemic, I was giving away free courses, scholarshiping kids that couldn't afford it, teaching kids that could afford it. So anyway,
Wow.
it felt great.
Again, John, learning about what you're doing here, you went from just doing magic to now teaching people. For you, was that more enriching? Was that more rewarding for you to be able to give the people this gift versus just make them say, wow?
Yeah, it's really different. It is really rewarding in that when I was doing a lot of school assemblies, I would go to the school, do the assembly, and I wouldn't hear a lot about it. A lot of people say, oh yeah, great show. And PTA may email me, hey, we really had a good time and learned a lot, blah, blah, blah. But that's one and done. And maybe I'm back the next year. I can tell you one rewarding story. And then I'll go into what the teaching thing. This one kid, I did my bully show 1 year. And then at the same school, I did something called the Bully Game 2, which is kind of a second show on top of that. Because a lot of people would call and say, do you have something like the first show but different? So I'm like, oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So this little girl runs up to me, and I'm setting up my show, and she says, oh, that little boy over there was gothicking. That little boy over there was gothicking. And I was like, what was he doing? And she says, oh, he was gothicking. And I go, what was he doing? And she said, oh, well, he was telling me about this other kid that did this or did that. And I go, oh, he was gossiping. Okay. So she didn't understand. She didn't remember the word, but she understood the concept. And she went and told a parent or an adult, which is me, that somebody was gossiping about somebody else. So she learned the lesson from the previous year. And I just love that. But the truth of the matter is, I don't get a lot of that. I didn't get a lot of that because like I said, it's one and done. Whereas now in my courses, I'm teaching 8 solid weeks, one lesson at a time for 8 weeks. So I'm really getting to know these kids, and I'm hearing all the stories. For example, I had 2 girls in one of my classes that every night after the class, they would go home and take their magic tricks home to mom and dad and do a magic show for them every single night. So they had family time every single night with magic. Yeah. So they were doing a show for. We play this one game in our class called the game or the game, and here's how it works. I'll bet you're good at this. Here's how it works. If you're presenting a magic trick, or you're speaking, or you're teaching, we have a tendency to say a lot. Like, my name is John, and I'm teaching math. And so here's the challenge. We set our clock. I set my little cell phone for 30 seconds, and the kids have to talk about themselves for 30 seconds without saying or And then if all the kids hear it or all the kids go, whoa, and they're busted. And it's fascinating because at the very beginning of the course, a lot of the kids are real uncomfortable and not real confident with themselves. And they'll be like, hi, my name is Joey Smith, and whoa. But then after the 8-week course, they'll do it again. And they'll say, hi, my name is Billy Smith. I'm in the 5th grade. I love cats. And they'll go on and be clear and concise about what they're saying.
Wow. That's the confident. Cool. That's one of the traits here.
Exactly. So they're learning confidence.
Wow. There's so much that goes into what you do and what educators do, what speakers need. I believe in props and I believe in the power of a single experience too, that the person in your life that you went and it just impacted your life. That was a great story, how you got started. You also host a podcast, John, and talking about this and meeting different entertainers. What is your goal in your podcast? What do you learn from your podcast?
Well, originally I started this podcast because I'd been in the business for a long time, and I thought, well, here's what I'll do. I'll interview a bunch of my entertainer friends, and people listening to it can learn from my entertainer friends and learn from my experience. But then as it grew and became popular, all of a sudden I was getting emails and texts from people that I thought were super famous from magazines and different trade industry conventions and things. And so I started interviewing people that I really never thought I'd interview.
Yeah.
I started interviewing my heroes. And what I discovered was a lot of different things. First, I discovered I didn't know everything. I really thought I knew everything. I knew everything there was to know about the entertainment business. And the truth is, I don't know anything. So I started interviewing people who have really made it in life or in the business, the entertainment business, whether they were jugglers or magicians or balloon artists or whatever they may be. They were the top of their field. So as I started interviewing them, I found out two things. First, I found out that they made it where they made it because of the particular choices they made. Mm-hmm. But I also found out that they're just regular people. Even though they're famous in my particular industry, you may not have heard of them, but in my industry, they're very famous. Even though they've had their pictures all over magazines and they've had articles written about them, they're just regular old people. They have regular old stories and regular old advice. So I love the podcast format because I can talk to them for an hour.
Yeah. And
find out how they really tick. Find out those funny, goofy stories that happen to them. In fact, this couple that I had on, they're a mind reading couple. And we talked a lot about mind reading and stuff. But then we started talking about they're avid sailors. Mm. And so they go out on their boat that they bought, and their anchor gets stuck. So the guy jumps in the water to fix up his anchor or to pull his anchor up, and all of a sudden a shark comes.
Come on.
No, true. So the lady on the boat says, get on the boat. There's a shark in the water. The shark. So I guess for 2 days they tried to get the anchor up, and they couldn't get it up because every time he'd jump in the water and he'd go towards the anchor, and then the shark would come, and then the lady would say, get out of the water, the shark is coming. So although they're a mind reading act, they're just regular people who have regular problems. I don't know if a shark is a regular problem, but but they have regular stories and regular problems just like you and I do.
Wow, John, this was fantastic. I've learned a lot, and I love the 8 traits. Was there something that I didn't ask you about, John, that you wanted to share?
There is actually one thing that I wanted to share. Yeah, and I have it over here.
Let's do it.
This is this is kind of cool. I'm a firm believer in being thankful, in gratitude. So I have this thing. This is called my jar of good. Mm. And here's how it works. A lot of people will write something good that happened to them in a journal or something like that. This is called my jar of good. And every night before I go to bed, I'll take a little slip of paper and write something cool that happened today. For example, today I'm sure I'll write great podcast with Andrew Murata. What a nice guy, something like that. And I put it in here. And then, but that's a neat thing. So every night, go to bed, something thankful for. But then at the end of the year, here's the cool thing. At the end of the year, I'll dump them all out and I'll look them over individually and see what kind of a year I had. And even in the year of the pandemic, where it was hell, I had shows cancel. A lot of my entertainer friends are homeless. I can go over bad news. But when I look in my jar of good, there's all sorts of wonderful things that happened in that year, including the Golden Wand Award. So I pull those out, and here's something else with that. So I make 2 piles. One pile is just good things that happened, like, hey, got a big check today, whatever. The second pile are people. The second pile, maybe a PTA person was really nice to me. Maybe I met a principal that was really, really cool and helped me set up. Maybe the custodian let me in the back. Anything that happened today. Maybe I had a great dinner. Who knows? Whatever. Okay, so the second pile is people. The dinner goes in the first pile. Okay, second pile is people. So I pick up the second pile, and I'll individually email each person named on the piece of paper. So at the end of the year, the person on that piece of paper gets a little notice from me saying, hey, you were in my jar of good. Thanks so much for letting me in the back of the auditorium that day. That was a really great help.
Yeah.
So I email those 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 people. And that's one of the ways I've built my business. But it also makes me feel good, makes them feel good. It's kind of a cool thing. So I want to share that with you.
Yeah, I love it. I think I'm going to start doing that. I think it's important we lead with gratitude. I got to tell you too, John, I get a lot of emails now, kind of like you were saying, about people to come on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really, I don't kind of look for those solicitors. And I don't know what made me kind of grab yours, but it felt authentic. It felt real. It was from you. And here we are. So you're doing a lot of good things. I learned a tremendous amount here. And, if people are interested in booking you and learn more about you, I have your website here, schoolofastonishment.com. But what would be the best way for people to get in touch with you? Because I think you would bring a lot of value to schools, to kids.
Thanks. Probably just go to my website, schoolofastonishment.com. There's contact there. You can email me at info@schoolofastonishment.com. And I was actually thinking about you, Andrew, and your audience. And I was thinking, if I get enough calls or enough emails, I'll create a course for all the teachers teaching SEL, and I'll have a number of different tricks that you can use for your students. So I'll create an entire course if I get enough of those emails, enough of those contacts.
Well, and again, your promise to the person who trained you kind of to not do the corporate gigs. There is a lot of performing in teaching. I know some teachers, the old school, right? Like, I'm going to teach it. They need to learn it. But when you can grasp their attention with a prop, with a trick, the math thing was great. It just
magic coloring book.
It brings the kids in. Absolutely.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah. John, I have a few more questions, and then,
Yes.
we're running out of time. These are the rapid fire questions. These are quick answers. Are you ready?
Yeah, I can't guarantee they're going to be quick answers, though, but I'll do my best.
Here we go. Rapid fire. Last book you read.
Last book I read. Oh, I actually looked this up because I love to read. I just read Steve Trash's, where is it? Oh, it's somewhere around here. It's called Finding Your Light Bulb. And Steve Trash was one of the first magicians ever in the recycling the green movement. And he uses magic to express recycling, why it's good for the environment and such. So his book tells about how to create an image and how to brand yourself and all of that. Okay, that's that.
Last movie you saw.
Last movie I saw was the first movie I saw in over a year. It was with Billy Crystal. What is the name of it? I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. Here Today. And I love the movie experience. I just love the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I go with a friend. The first time California opened up, I go with a friend to see a movie, and we were 2 of 6 people in the theater.
Wow.
But I thought to myself, here I am in the theater. It just felt great.
You've traveled a lot. You've been to a lot of places. Favorite place to travel?
I have a lot of places that I love traveling, but probably my 2 favorites are visiting my daughters. My youngest one, 22, is in Washington, and my oldest one, 28, is in Boston.
Wow, so those are long flights.
Yeah.
Those are long flights. Cool. Your favorite type of music?
I don't know. I don't really. Maybe classic rock. Probably classic rock. But every time I'm working, when I'm in my office, I put vinyl records on my vinyl record player in my office, and everything from Billie Holiday to Janis Joplin and everything in between. That's how I know.
Creating magic is fill in the blank.
Creating magic. Creating magic is that little spark we see in a kid's eye when they get it. Whatever we're trying to teach them, whatever we're trying to give them, when they go, that's what I think magic is.
I love it. You shared a lot of your passions today, things that make you tick, things that help people. What's something that gets under your skin? What's something that bothers you?
Oh, okay. There's 2 things.
It's okay. We're all human.
All right. First thing that bugs the heck out of me, it's a pet peeve of mine, is people that we don't know that don't introduce themselves when we meet. For example, I'll go to a school and there'll be a principal and I'll say, "Hi, I'm John Abrams. I'm here to do the bully game." Or, "Hey, John Abrams here to do school assembly." And they'll be like, "Oh, okay, set up over there."
Yeah.
I'll be like, "Are you the principal? Are you the PTA person? Are you the custodian? What is it that you're doing, and why should I listen to you? What is it?" I'd rather than say, "Hi, I'm Bill Smith. I'm the principal, and I'm glad to have you here today. Go set up over there." Fine, I'm good with that. Okay, that's number one. That's one of my pet peeves. It drives me crazy.
I'm with you.
Here's second pet peeve, and it just happened an hour before I got on here. Being on hold on the phone with a government agency, wasting my time. Drives me. When I'm sitting there on the phone, listening to the music, drives me up a wall. And they never say, "They'll be with you in 2 minutes." It's always like, "Your wait is over 10 minutes. Like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Oh my God. That's funny. Something about Southern California that you want to share.
Oh, that's easy. I mean, the beaches. I love boogie boarding. It's my thing.
Nice.
Anybody who comes here has got to go to the beaches.
Nice. On Saturday morning at 8 a.m., I feel, fill in the blank.
Oh, Saturday morning. I take every weekend off, no matter what.
Nice.
Saturday mornings, 8 o'clock, I'm generally walking my dog and my mom's dog, my blind diabetic dog named Bitterman Jones. So I'm walking him and Cupcake, my mom's dog. So energized. I'm energized by walking them, having fun, hiking, etc.
Beautiful. Your go-to stress reliever?
Exercise.
Yeah.
Easily.
You got to move, right?
Yep.
Best purchase under $100 that has had a great impact on your life?
Oh, I actually thought about this one. So, okay, this isn't going to be a fast answer. I'll go as quick as I can. So I go to a magic auction. Now, a magic auction is exactly what it sounds like, a magic auction. They're auctioning off things like sponge balls and DVDs and things. And there was this one set of tapes that came up. And remember, this is 25 years ago. I knew nothing about magic. I knew nothing about anything. I kind of knew I wanted to be in this business, but I wasn't quite sure how to go about it. So I bought a set of tapes by a guy by the name of Joel Bauer that were magic marketing tapes. And I listened to them, and I followed some of them, but I realized that to become a successful magician, entertainer, no matter how good your act is, you need to sell it. People need to buy it.
Yeah.
You need to create something that people want. So I think that set of tapes sent me on my path of being a really good marketer. Probably sent my oldest daughter to college. Wow. Probably sent my youngest daughter around the world.
Wow.
Probably helped me with my career more than anything I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And it was exactly $100.
Wow. Okay. That's a great point, John. Something about you that people do not know about.
I'm a chocoholic. Chocolate doesn't last in my house.
Damn, you look like you're
in my belly.
Yeah, you look like you're in good shape.
Yeah, but people don't bring a lot of chocolate around. It just goes.
John, this has been great. I've learned a lot. You have a tremendous attitude, and I've enjoyed having you. Do you have a quote? Do you have a famous quote or something that you want to end on?
Yeah. My favorite quote is Henry Ford's. I'm sure you probably know it. It's whether you think you can or you think you can't. You can finish that.
You're probably right.
You're probably right. It's absolutely true. I believe in the power of thought.
Mm-hmm. This was John Abrams. Guys, check out his website, schoolofastonishment.com. It's been an honor to have you on, John. Stay on the line a little bit, and we're going to wrap up. This was show number 172, Education, Leadership, Beyond. Check out Ann Collar. John, you're a performer. You're looking for some nice stuff. 15 Murata is the code. It's waterproof, it's sweat-proof, it's stain-proof. I'm going to be wearing these as a school leader, so I want to thank you.
And boogie boarding. You can wear them boogie boarding.
Yeah, there you go. The commercial shows the guy sliding down the hill. Yeah. So All right, everyone. We are going to wrap up show number 172. Check out John Abrams, and it's nice to have some magic in your life. John, you did a great job here with us today. Thank you so much.
You, sir. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Stay on that line. Here we go.
Are we off?
No, we're still on. We're still going. It's all good. We gotta wrap it up. Thank you, everybody. This is again show number 172.